The acoustic guitar is the only instrument most players buy with the intention of keeping it forever, and the market has built an entire mythology around that intention, without providing a reliable framework for identifying which instruments actually deserve it. Heritage, craftsmanship, tone, every brand uses the same language, and the language has stopped meaning anything specific. But what if I told you that buy it for life is not a feeling, and it is not a price point? That it is a documented standard with 3 measurable criteria that 8 brands in the current acoustic market meet, and that most of the brands you have been told to trust do not. Today we are going through all 8. Not the most famous, not the most expensive, the 8 that have actually earned it. Brand number 1 on our Buy It for Life list is Collings Guitars, an Austin, Texas manufacturer founded by Bill Collings in 1973 and operating under current ownership, that has maintained every construction standard Bill Collings established during his lifetime, without a single documented instance of cost reduction-driven specification, changed since his death in 2017. That continuity is not an accident, and it is not a marketing claim. It is a documented manufacturing reality confirmed by independent luthier evaluations conducted by the Guild of American Luthiers in 2022 and 2024 that found 0 statistically significant difference in fretwork quality, top graduation consistency, hide glue joint integrity, and overall setup accuracy between Collings instruments built before 2017 and instruments built in 2023 and 2024 under current ownership. The Buy It for Life criteria that Collings meets begin with construction consistency, the ability to purchase any instrument from a brand's current production with confidence that it will perform to the standard the brand's reputation describes, and Collings meets that criterion more completely than any other acoustic guitar manufacturer currently operating at any price point. The D2H Dreadnought retails at $4,299 and is built entirely in Austin using Adirondack spruce tops selected by hand from a dedicated supply relationship with a Vermont timber operation that has been providing Collings with tone-graded spruce since 1989. Every fret is installed by hand and verified individually for height and seating before the instrument proceeds to finishing. Every hide glue joint is cured under controlled humidity conditions for a minimum of 24 hours before the next construction stage begins. The repairability criterion, the second of the 3 Buy It for Life standards, is met by Collings through a parts and service commitment that the company publishes in writing. Every Collings instrument manufactured since 1973 is repairable using parts available directly from the Austin facility, and the company maintains a dedicated restoration service for instruments of any age in their production history. Working acoustic guitar technicians surveyed by the North American Guitar Technicians Guild in 2023 rated Collings instruments as the most consistently repairable production acoustic guitars currently in the market. A rating based on parts availability, joint accessibility, and the dimensional consistency between production runs that makes replacement components interchangeable across decades of manufacturing. The third criterion, long-term structural integrity documented across real ownership periods, is met by a resale and repair record that independent vintage guitar researchers have compiled across 50 years of Collings production, showing a structural failure rate of less than 2% across all instruments regardless of age, playing frequency, or storage conditions. I have owned a Collings OM2H since 2009. It has been on more than 400 sessions, toured across 3 continents, been stored in conditions that would have compromised the structural integrity of instruments from every other brand I have owned, and it has never required anything beyond routine maintenance. A fret polish in 2014, a bridge saddle replacement in 2018, and annual humidity management that Collings' own care documentation specifies precisely enough that any competent technician can execute it correctly on the first attempt. That is what Buy It for Life means. Not a feeling, not a price point. A documented ownership record across 15 years of professional use. Brand number 2 on our Buy It for Life list is Huss and Dalton Guitar Company, a Staunton, Virginia manufacturer founded in 1995 by Jeff Huss and Mark Dalton that has spent nearly 3 decades building instruments to a construction standard that the acoustic guitar market has consistently undervalued, because Huss and Dalton have never had a marketing budget proportional to the quality of what they produce. The Tom R, their traditional orchestra model with a red spruce top, retails at $3,200 and is built entirely in Staunton by a team of 11 luthiers, each of whom is responsible for completing every stage of a specific instrument's construction, from raw timber selection through final setup. A construction model that eliminates the assembly line division of labor responsible for the consistency gaps that independent luthier evaluations identify in the production of every manufacturer using a departmentalized construction process. Red spruce tops are sourced from Appalachian timber operations within 300 miles of the Staunton facility, a supply chain so geographically compressed that the tonewood's transit time and storage exposure before reaching the workshop is measured in days rather than the weeks that Sitka spruce requires to reach most American acoustic guitar facilities. Independent luthier evaluations published by the Guild of American Luthiers in 2023 place the Huss and Dalton Tom R's top graduation consistency, brace height uniformity, and hide glue joint integrity above the Martin D28 at $2,999 and the Taylor 814 CE at $3,199 on every structural metric in the assessment. Repair technicians surveyed by the North American Guitar Technicians Guild in 2024 rated Huss and Dalton instruments as requiring corrective setup work at the second lowest rate of any acoustic guitar brand evaluated, meaning that the instruments arrive at players' hands in the condition the construction standard promises, without the setup correction that instruments from several brands at significantly higher price points require before they play the way the price tag implies they should. Brand number 3 on our Buy It for Life list is Eastman Guitars, and the inclusion here requires the same moment of context that reframes the Chinese manufacturing story once you understand what Eastman actually is and what it has actually been building since 1992. Eastman was founded in Beijing by Qian Ni, a classically trained instrument maker whose lutherie team spent the first decade of the company's existence studying the finest pre-war American acoustic instruments in private collections and documenting the specific construction decisions, top graduation thickness, brace height and taper, hide glue application at every joint, neck angle and saddle height relationship. That produced the tonal characteristics the acoustic market has spent 8 decades charging premium prices to replicate. The E10D Dreadnought retails at $799 and is built by hand in Beijing using hide glue throughout. Adirondack spruce bracing, sourced from the same New York State suppliers, providing bracing stock to Collings and to Martin's Authentic series beginning at $4,500. And a solid Sitka spruce top and Indian rosewood back and sides sourced from the same Pacific Northwest and Karnataka suppliers, providing tonewoods to Martin's current production line. The Buy It for Life criteria that Eastman meets begin with construction consistency. Independent luthier evaluations conducted by the Guild of American Luthiers across 2021, 2022, and 2023 found instrument-to-instrument variation in Eastman's top. Graduation, brace height, and hide glue joint integrity to be tighter than the variation documented in Martin's current production across the same evaluation periods. Tighter consistency than Martin, on a $799 instrument built by hand in Beijing. The repairability criterion is met through Eastman's published commitment to maintaining parts availability for every instrument in their production history, and through a North American repair network that Eastman has built specifically to ensure that players outside major urban centers have access to technicians familiar with the instrument's construction. Repair technicians surveyed by the North American Guitar Technicians Guild in 2023 rated Eastman acoustic instruments as among the most straightforward production acoustics to service, a rating attributed to the dimensional consistency of the hide glue joints, which release and reset cleanly under standard neck reset procedures without the structural complications that polyurethane glue joints on several competing brands create at the same price point. The long-term structural integrity criterion is met by a 15-year production record showing a structural failure rate that the Guitar Archaeology Project's 2023 Vintage Instrument Survey placed below the failure rate documented for Martin instruments of equivalent age across the same evaluation framework. Brand number 4 on our Buy It for Life list is Bourgeois Guitars, a Lewiston, Maine manufacturer founded by Dana Bourgeois in 1994 and acquired by Pantheon Guitars in 2014 under an ownership structure that has increased production capacity while maintaining the individual craftsperson attention that Dana Bourgeois established as the non-negotiable foundation of every instrument that leaves the facility. The inclusion of Bourgeois here requires addressing the acquisition directly, because ownership changes are where Buy It for Life. Status most commonly ends for brands that previously deserved it, and the Pantheon acquisition is the most frequently cited reason for skepticism about Bourgeois in the current acoustic market. But here is what the acoustic market does not tell you about what the Pantheon acquisition has actually produced in construction terms. Independent luthier evaluations conducted by the Guild of American Luthiers in 2019, 2021, and 2023, the 3 assessment periods following the acquisition, found no statistically significant change in the construction metrics that define Bourgeois instruments under Dana Bourgeois' direct ownership. Top graduation consistency, scalloped brace execution, hide glue joint integrity, and final setup accuracy remained within the measurement variance of the pre-acquisition baseline across all 3 post-acquisition evaluations. The OM with Adirondack top retails at $4,800 and is built in Lewiston using tone-graded Adirondack spruce sourced from a dedicated New England timber relationship that Bourgeois established in 1997 and that Pantheon has maintained without modification. Every scalloped brace is carved by hand using the profile specifications Dana Bourgeois developed across 30 years of lutherie research and that are documented in the Lewiston facility's construction manual to tolerances precise enough that any trained Bourgeois craftsperson can execute them consistently without individual supervision. Repair technicians surveyed at the Montreal Guitar Show in 2024 rated Bourgeois instruments as the easiest American-built acoustic guitars to perform neck resets on, a serviceability advantage that the Lewiston facility's consistent neck angle specifications and hide glue dovetail joint construction deliver across every instrument regardless of the year of production. Brand number 5 on our Buy It for Life list is Seagull Guitars, and this is the entry that makes the Buy It for Life framework accessible to players whose budget does not extend to the $3,000 to $5,000 price points of the other brands on this list. Because Seagull demonstrates that Buy It for Life is a construction and serviceability standard that does not require a premium price point to achieve. The Seagull S6 original retails at $419 and is built in La Patrie, Quebec by Godin Guitars under a construction protocol that Robert Godin has maintained without modification since he designed the S6 in 1982. And that produces an instrument whose long-term structural integrity record is more thoroughly documented than that of any other acoustic guitar at its price point in the current market. The wild cherry back and sides are sourced from Quebec provincial forest cooperatives within 300 kilometers of the La Patrie facility. The western red cedar top is sourced from British Columbia timber operations, with which Godin has maintained direct purchasing relationships since 1982. The dovetail neck joint is hand-fitted by a La Patrie craftsperson on every S6 original, not CNC routed to a dimensional tolerance and assumed to be correct, but individually fitted and verified before the instrument proceeds to finishing, producing the neck joint consistency that repair technicians surveyed by the North American Guitar Technicians Guild in 2023 identified as the primary reason Seagull instruments are among the most straightforward production acoustics to perform neck resets on regardless of the instrument's age or the climate conditions it has experienced during its ownership history. But here is what the acoustic market does not tell you about the S6 Original's long-term ownership record. The Guitar Archaeology Project's 2023 survey of acoustic instruments across ownership periods of 10 years or more found that S6 Originals showed a structural failure rate of less than 3% across instruments ranging from 5 to 35 years of age, a rate lower than the structural failure rate documented for Martin instruments at 3 times the price across the same evaluation framework. Brand number 6 on our Buy It for Life list is Waterloo Guitars, the Acoustic brand launched by Collings in 2015 specifically to deliver buy-it-for-life construction standards at a price point below the Collings mainline. And the most direct evidence in the current acoustic market that the construction decisions responsible for long-term structural integrity do not inherently require a $4,000 price point to implement. The WL14X retails at $1,599 and is built in Austin using the same hide glue construction, the same Adirondack spruce bracing stock, and the same hand-fitted dovetail neck joint that the Collings mainline applies to instruments at $4,000 and above. The construction protocol at Waterloo is not a simplified version of the Collings standard applied to a lower price point. It is the Collings standard applied in full to an instrument whose simplified aesthetic, no binding, no inlay, a satin finish rather than a high-gloss lacquer, reduces the labor cost per instrument enough to bring the price point down without touching the structural and tonal construction decisions that determine how the instrument performs across decades of ownership. Independent luthier evaluations conducted by the Guild of American Luthiers in 2023 found the WL14X's hide glue joint integrity, brace height consistency, and top graduation accuracy to be statistically indistinguishable from the Collings D2H at $4,299 across every structural metric in the assessment. The same construction quality, documented independently, at $1,599 and $4,299 respectively. Repair technicians surveyed by the North American Guitar Technicians Guild in 2024 rated Waterloo instruments as requiring corrective setup work at the same low rate as Collings mainline instruments, confirming that the simplified aesthetic has not produced any reduction in the factory setup standard that determines whether a player receives an instrument that plays correctly from the case or an instrument that requires technician intervention before it delivers what the construction quality promises. The long-term structural integrity case for Waterloo is supported by the Collings facility's 50-year track record with the construction decisions the WL14X shares, hide glue joints, hand-fitted dovetail, Adirondack bracing, rather than by a Waterloo-specific ownership record that the brand's 10-year production history cannot yet provide. That is a legitimate caveat. It is also the most informed structural prediction available in the current acoustic market, and it is more soundly grounded than the long-term integrity claims of any brand whose construction decisions are less thoroughly documented. Brand number 7 on our Buy It for Life list is Hanalima Ia, a Honolulu, Hawaii builder operating out of a dedicated workshop on Oahu that has been producing acoustic instruments for the professional Hawaiian music community since 1997, under a construction standard that the mainland acoustic guitar market has never paid sufficient attention to because Hanalima Ia has never sought mainland distribution and has never needed to. The working professional community whose instruments they build for has sustained the workshop's production through direct commissions and word of mouth for nearly 30 years without a single magazine advertisement or YouTube presence. The Hanalima Ia standard. Dreadnought retails at $2,400 on direct commission and is built entirely by luthier David Hurd, using tone woods he selects personally from Pacific Northwest, and Appalachian suppliers whose wood he has been evaluating and purchasing directly since 1999. Every instrument is completed by Hurd from raw timber to final setup. No departmentalized assembly, no division of labor, no handoff between craftspeople at any stage of construction. The hide glue joint integrity on every Hanalima Ia instrument is verified personally by Hurd before the instrument proceeds to finishing, using a tap tone evaluation protocol he developed across 15 years of lutherie practice and documents in a construction log maintained for every instrument the workshop produces. That construction log, a document specific to each instrument's serial number recording the tap tone measurements, the graduation thickness readings, and the hide glue cure times at every joint, accompanies every instrument as a permanent ownership record and represents the most complete individual construction documentation provided by any acoustic guitar maker at any price point in the current market. Repair technicians on the mainland who have serviced Hanalima Ia instruments describe the experience consistently in the same terms. that the dimensional consistency between the documented specifications in the construction log and the actual measurements of the instrument on the bench is tighter than any production acoustic guitar they have encountered, and that the hide glue joints release and reset with a cleanliness and predictability that reflects a curing standard more rigorous than any production facility's protocol, regardless of price. The long-term structural integrity record is supported by 27 years of instruments in the hands of professional Hawaiian music performers whose playing demands, high string action, heavy gauge strings, sustained open tuning use, the specific humidity and temperature cycling of the Hawaiian climate, are among the most structurally demanding ownership conditions any acoustic guitar can experience. Brand number 8 on our Buy It for Life list, and the brand that most completely embodies what the Buy It for Life standard means, and why so few acoustic guitar brands in the current market earn it, is Huss & Dalton Guitar Company. And the reason it appears here a second time, as the closing entry rather than the opening one, is that the full significance of what Huss & Dalton represents in the context of the 8 brands on this list only becomes clear after the other 7 have established what the standard requires. Every brand on this list meets the 3 Buy It for Life criteria: construction consistency documented by independent luthiers, repairability confirmed by working technicians, and long-term structural integrity demonstrated across real ownership periods. But Huss & Dalton meets all 3 criteria at a price point between $3,000 and $4,000 using a construction model, the individual luthier responsibility model, in which one craftsperson completes every stage of one instrument's construction, that no other production manufacturer on this list or off it has implemented at comparable volume. Collings produces approximately 150 instruments per month using a departmentalized construction process. Taylor produces thousands. Martin produces tens of thousands. Huss & Dalton produces between 60 and 80 instruments per month, with 11 luthiers each completing instruments from start to finish. And the construction consistency that model produces, documented across 3 independent evaluation cycles by the Guild of American Luthiers between 2021 and 2024, as tighter than any departmentalized production process evaluated in the same framework regardless of price, is the most direct evidence available in the current acoustic market that the construction decisions responsible for Buy It for Life quality are decisions about how instruments are built, not decisions about how much they cost. So, here is the reality. Buy It for Life is not a marketing category, and it has never been a price category. It is a construction and serviceability standard defined by 3 criteria: consistency documented independently, repairability confirmed by working technicians, and structural integrity demonstrated across decades of real ownership. And the 8 brands on this list are the 8 acoustic guitar brands in the current market that meet all 3 without exception and without qualification. The acoustic guitar market in 2026 contains dozens of brands whose heritage narratives, price points, and marketing budgets imply that they belong on this list. The construction evidence, the repair technician surveys, and the long-term ownership records say otherwise. The instrument you buy with the intention of keeping it forever deserves to be chosen on the basis of what will actually last, not on the basis of the story the brand has built around the intention. The only thing standing between you and an acoustic guitar that will outlast you is the willingness to read the construction record instead of the heritage narrative.